There is always the old argument between Springer shooters and PCP shooters about getting the air into the guns, and how Springer shooters don't have the problem, and how you need all sorts of extra gear if you shoot PCPs. All of which is relevant, but only part of the story. But today, let's look at one option of filling your PCP: the pump. Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. Yes, today it's workout time as I take a look at the latest offering from the very nice guys and girls from Hill Pumps. It's the Hill Mark 5. Recently I completed a review of their EC3000 compressor, and what a cracking piece of kit that is, and beautifully engineered too. Now, I personally don't think it's a lot of money for a compressor that, whilst designed to fill guns directly, is also capable of topping up your diver's tank. But it will set you back around £795 UK and is out of some people's budget, I fully realise. Whilst this does of course add to the Springer shooters argument around the extra costs involved in PCP shooting, some of us are quite happy to pay that price for all the other potential benefits these bring. But this is not about Springers versus PCPs, more about filling the PCPs. So, if a compressor is too much and out of budget, then the next option could be to use a tank. Again, this can set you back around the £190 and upward price range, not forgetting that it does need to be refilled from time to time. Finally, there's the old favourite, or not, the pump. And I have here the Mark 5, which is the latest offering from Hill. For those out there who are not aware, the pump required to fill or top up a gun is not a simple bicycle type pump. It does need to be capable of getting up to some very high pressures, and as such is more of a specialist thing. Because of these high pressures, they do need a little effort to work them. This effort in itself can put some people off. Now, according to the latest blurb from Hill, this Mark 5 is less work than a standard pump and should result in fewer, more mature shooters lining up at the triage section of the local A&E, clutching their chests. Now, Hill claim this is 20% easier to use for the average person than a standard pump. Good news! They also gave it the option to fit their patented dry pack system, which is designed to keep moisture out of your pride and joy and help prolong its life. No bad idea. And again, good news. All this lot gives me an idea. Time to do a direct comparison with a standard pump. At this point in a magician's act, it is customary to ask the audience for a volunteer, which I will do because I don't fancy being one of the statistics down at the local A&E. The unlucky volunteer just so happens to be Karl, who found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Firstly, let's take a look at this latest offering and then let Karl loose with it. What comes in the box? Well, there's the pump main body, pre-built and incorporating the gauge, footrest, the air filter housing, a couple of packs of dry pack refills, the handle and some silicone grease. All put together, this is what it looks like and weighs in at 2.52 kilograms, which means we have in the red corner, or should I say red, white and blue corner, the Mark 5 from Hills. In the contenders corner, we have a standard 3-stage item with a simple moisture filter system. Time to move on to the highly scientific test to find out if any of these claims hold true. I have a Gammo GX40 with around 150 bar of pressure left in the tank and a stopwatch to see how long it takes to bring it up to 200 bar, and just for good measure we'll count how many pumps it actually takes. We will then take Karl's heart rate and blood pressure. To start with then, we got Mrs. AAR to act as the COVID-friendly nurse and take his readings before we subjected him to a from cold workout with these pumps. His pulse rate was 69 beats per minute with a blood pressure of 122/75 at rest. Then it was time to set him off with the sub £70 pump. This took him 22.2 seconds and he needed 35 pumps to bring it up to the 200 bar fill pressure that we were looking for. After this, his vitals were checked, as it were, and again the results were his pulse rate 128 beats per minute with a blood pressure of 158/83. Time for him to relax and have a cuppa and a biscuit to get his breath back. Then it's on with the testing. This time it's the turn of the new Hills pump, again from 150 bar pressure in the Gammo, looking to take this back up to its 200 bar fill. This time it took 34 pumps and 21.9 seconds with the final toll on his physical system of 102 beats per minute pulse rate and a blood pressure of 135/69. When asking Karl if it was 20% easier, I did get a bit of a funny look and a "how do you tell if it's 20% different" comment. The pulse rate and the blood pressure monitor results did show less physical strain, so that in itself is some form of evidence and does help prove a point. Maybe. So, as we can see from the results, the Hills does appear to be the easier option and as such does hold up to their claims. The moisture trap can only be a good idea and is naturally going to be that bit better than the simple foam filter on the less expensive item. The cost will naturally be a significant factor in any decision that anybody's likely to make, and at this point it's worth pointing out that the budget pump will cost you around £69, with the Hill setting you back another £100 on top of that. Is it better engineered? Yes. Will the moisture trap be better? Yes. Is it less work? Apparently, and scientifically proven, yes. But I've only got Karl's intensive care nurse's word for that. And using either of these, you will need to factor in the cost of extra tea and biscuits. And time for a bit of a lie down, probably. Am I going to rush out and buy one of these pumps? In my case, only as a backup, because the only time I would use a pump is if my Hill compressor had broken down, which isn't likely to happen. The only other time would be if I'm right out in a field somewhere and desperate for a top-up. It is good though, and very well engineered, and is quite likely to last you a lifetime. Which, if you're out of shape, probably isn't that long a period of time anyway. It is a great product from a great company, and this review has been great fun. And I would like to thank the guys at Hill for sending one of these for me to do this test. And I feel it's definitely time for me to get my patriotic flag back out. In the sum up, it is probably worth mentioning that most people will start off with a pump, but will usually progress onto other options such as the tank or compressor that we've already mentioned. I started with a pump and continued with it for quite some time, in which case it is quite an investment, but the more guns you get, then it becomes pretty easy to justify upgrading to some of the other products. I still have my original pump, which is harder work than the Hill Mark 5 and probably needs upgrading to a Hills as a reserve or backup, but it doesn't come out that often these days. I now use tanks and top them up from a compressor. I personally need to fill guns quite frequently, and I have no desire to build muscles, and I get my exercise these days by walking the dog, in which case I have no problem in justifying paying the extra money. Pumps will definitely do the job and are the lower cost method. And you're even better if you've got a Karl handy as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed this slightly tongue-in-cheek review. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, click the alarm bell and join in with all this lot. Special thanks to Karl from Vector Air and to Mrs AAR for keeping him in tea and biscuits. Please stay safe and shoot safe, and hopefully I'll see you next week.